This is the Moonlight Graham Show, a freewheeling conversation with the role players, the underdogs, and guys with flat-out great stories in sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonlight Graham Show, and our Moonlighter for today is actually one of my favorite underdog stories to come out of the state of Iowa in the past 5 years. His name is Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown came from the small town of Lenox, Iowa. And if you're keeping score at home, Lenox, Iowa has 1,339 people in it. Spencer in high school was 6'8", about 220 pounds. Nobody was looking at this kid for football because Lenox plays 8-man football. He was playing 8-man football, but he was this monster of a man at 6'8", 220, 230 pounds in high school. And so the University of Northern Iowa and Mark Farley, they take a chance on this kid, not knowing really what they're getting with this kid playing 8-man football. But they bring him in, they turn him from a tight end to an offensive tackle, and he turns into an absolute monster. Today, Spencer Brown stands 6'8", 311 pounds. After his time at UNI, he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Buffalo Bills. This past season was his rookie year with Buffalo, and he started 10 games as the starting right tackle for the Buffalo Bills, who were so close to making it to the Super Bowl this past year, and they are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl in this next coming season. And Spencer was a huge part of their success last year and is going to be a big part of their team moving forward. Really fun to get Spencer Brown here on the podcast. He's really good friends with a couple previous Moonlighters, Cal Twait and Zach Kibbe, and that's how we were able to get connected with Spencer for this podcast. He gave a great interview. If you've been following him since he's been in the NFL, this guy's not afraid to speak his mind, and I love that about him, and I think you guys are going to really love this episode of the Moonlight Graham Show. Of course, thanks to our great friends over at the People's Company, Matt Adams and Andrew Zelmer. They are the best farmland guys in the business. Check them out at peoplescompany.com and enjoy today's episode with Spencer Brown. But before we get to our interview, Moonlighters, are you or someone you know moving down to Kansas City? Well, if you are, the one realtor that we trust and that you need to be calling is the great Brian Sandvig. As you well know, Brian Sandvig is our producer here on the podcast, and there is not a better residential real estate advisor down in the Kansas City marketplace than Brian Sandvig. Call Brian Sandvig, shoot him a text. Hey, DM us on social media. We'll get you connected with Brian if you can't find him on all the socials, but he is there and he is active, and he is your Kansas City realtor, so give him a call. So, Spencer, I guess where I want to start with you is the first time you kind of made news as an NFL player was, I think, your first start. You guys are playing the Texans, and you give Desmond King the, hey, buddy, you're too short for me. And you're like looking over the top of him and look to be talking some smack on the field. What was going on there?
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot going on that day, being the first start and all. But, I mean, it's just kind of goes with the game. There's things being said, and I like to joke around a lot. I don't think I really talk trash. It's more like make a joke out of it, make them laugh or feel uncomfortable, I guess, or get them pissed. I'm not talking back to them. I don't know. But pretty much, I can't remember what was said, honestly. I never do in those situations, but said something about coming in and letting us feel him or something, like he was going to hit us hard. And I was like, nah, man, you're too short to talk. You're too short for this. But I mean, it just happens every game. And I just kind of grew off that little logo. I think I started in college, actually. So I kind of had it with me for a while.
That blew up, especially in the state of Iowa, with Desmond King being a Hawkeye. Did it even register at that point with you, like who Desmond King was and that he went to Iowa? Or is it all just like, no, this is a guy on the other team that's running his mouth at me right now?
I have a lot of Iowa fans in my family, so I knew who Desmond King was. I always know who the good Iowa players are. So and I was talking to him, but I didn't know what his face looked like. I wouldn't recognize his face, so I didn't know it was him. And then he walked away. I'm like, oh, that is Desmond King. I remember, yeah, that's him. So it didn't register until after, but it was too late at that point.
How much talking goes on the field?
It kind of depends. Obviously, rivalry, there's a lot of things being said. You play them twice a year, so guys go up against each other a lot, and they have good battles and bad battles. So I think that just kind of I don't know, comes out of the top a little bit. But I mean, I'm a younger guy, so I haven't been around. I've been playing against these guys for 8+ years, like some of the other guys have been. So I was new to it. I found it some trash talking in some of the games I was in, but I mean, it was more like a joke or playful to me. But some guys approach it differently, I guess.
So this year, obviously, the ending of your guys' season against the Chiefs was one of the most iconic playoff games ever. I think anybody watching that was just blown away by the level of talent on the field, the level of execution, and just the ending of the game, seeing it all take place. What was it like to be on the field for that game? Because you had to know like this was something special is going on, even though you guys end up on the bad side of that.
Yeah, it was kind of I don't know. Like I think we got down there like in the third quarter a little bit, and we battled back in the fourth, obviously, and they scored, we scored, they scored, we scored, kind of thing in the fourth quarter. But we were kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say down, but I mean, you could feel like maybe the tides were turning a little bit, but there was never like a flinch of, I don't know, like trouble, I guess I would say. Like we never felt like they were gonna help or just lost that drive, so we're gonna lose the game or whatever. I mean, it's just seriously, we knew we could take it down to the wire. I mean, that's exactly what happened, and they took it a little farther than that, and we all know how the ending goes. But I mean, you hear the saying like the game's never over, game's not over. That's seriously the first time in my career that I could say that. That saying is completely 100% true, and that's just, yeah, that's insane.
Is that the toughest loss you've ever been a part of?
Easily the toughest by far.
What's that locker room like after that game?
I mean, it's just a lot of consoling with one another. I mean, everybody knows that we just went through that together, and everybody knows it's hard. Everybody in the stands and watching the game at home knew it was hard, and one team had to lose, and either way, it was going to be really awesome or really hard, and we felt the worst end of that. But I mean, everybody just consoling each other, hugs, and just trying to get through it together, and that's kind of what makes our team special. A lot of guys really, really get along with each other, and it is a really good locker room to be a part of. So everyone's just leaning on each other for support, and then had our little meetings and then headed home.
So let's take it back to Lenox, Iowa, town of 1,500 people. And what do you weigh in high school? Are you like I've seen 6'6", 200 pounds. Is that right?
I was with my freshman year of high school.
No, just, when you're in high school, what's as big as you got in high school?
I was 6'8" and 220 is what I was that was what I was on my first day at college campus at Northern Iowa, 6'8", 220.
And you go to UNI thinking you're going to be a tight end, or was offensive line always in the plans?
I was told tight end. I was just trying to make the team at that point. I was just worried about getting through fall camp and stuff like that. So I really didn't care as long as I got a jersey. But I came as a tight end. All my position meetings were tight end. And then once I got into the second semester, so like once spring ball started is kind of where I dove into the offensive line portion of my career.
How long at UNI before you felt like, okay, I can play at this level?
I mean, I never said that in college. I didn't say that until maybe after the season was over this year. But I mean, probably during and after my junior year, I knew that I could maybe take a stab at it and have a good try at it. And then just talking with people in my circle and how I'm going to prepare myself and what's to be expected in the next year. So I just had a really good support system around from coaches to family and friends that I'm really kind of mold my mind into what I wanted to do. Because I never said I was going to play in the NFL. I never was the kid growing up, I'm going to play in the NFL. I wasn't that kid in college either. But after my junior year, kind of like settled in like it could happen. So that's kind of when it kind of took off for me.
What's a bigger adjustment? Because you played 8-man football in high school. Like there's, it's essentially just tackle eligible. There's no real tight end. The tight end's next to the guard, and it's just it's a lot different game. And then is it that a different adjustment to go to, Division I football at UNI, or is the UNI to the NFL transition a lot harder? Because you played a lot quicker in the NFL than you did from high school to UNI, but also your body transformation probably was the biggest piece of that.
Yeah, I think it's just different for both parts of the game, I guess. So like from high school to college is all about physical growth, getting bigger, stronger, faster, understand 11-man game, and fighting through that and the growth that come with that with changing the position. I mean, I never took an offensive tackle set in high school. I didn't do that until the spring of 2017. So, I mean, I've only been doing it for a few years, but like that was like a big physical change for me, was just the growth in becoming a football player. And then this last year, I mean, I was already a football player, and then it was just the mental part of it, and then realizing how long and hard the season is. Because I mean, you play all preseason, and you say you don't get a first round bye in the playoffs, you could play 24 football games in 1 year, whatever it is. So it's just super long, and it's just being able to maintain at a high level for that many weeks in a row is what I had to figure out. And I went through ups and downs of it. I remember, like, if a game came on last night, a rerun of us at New England in a playoff game, and I could just remember what I felt like in that part of the season, and I'll flash back and remember what I felt like when I was playing in Kansas City the first time. So, I mean, there's just flows of the season that I never really had to experience in college or high school because they're so short compared to the NFL.
Is it weird seeing yourself on TV?
It's just like I sit here, I'm like, that's the view that they have. And then my view is like obviously first person as it can ever be. So it's just kind of weird, like, because when I watched it, I'm like, so this is what like my friends watch when they're watching the game. So it's just a different view of it, but definitely seems way faster on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, because you watch those games now, and everybody's watched a million college football and NFL games, and you know what it looks like on CBS or Fox, right? You know. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I've seen this before, but now that's me. Like, I'm the right tackle here, instead of it being, some other Bills team that you've watched in the past.
Right. It's I don't want to say it's a little trippy, but it's definitely a different experience to sit here and watch. That's for sure.
What's it like gaining 100 pounds?
It's easier than you think, honestly.
What?
It's not. I mean, the strength coach at UNI, strength staff, I should say, at UNI, was just unbelievable. I mean, I wasn't the first guy they developed through the roof, but I mean, there's just a lot of guys that come into the program and they know how to take. I've said it numerous times, probably. They take a small, undeveloped, undersized kid, and then in 2 years, he's night and day difference. Program's hard. It is. It's very hard. But if you buy in and understand what it takes, and then don't really waver, like, you just know you have to do it, then the payout's awesome.
Are the workouts harder, or is the eating that amount of calories harder?
That's actually a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I think the eating is hard for me.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have like a brutal workout where I'm just completely gassed than doing sit at a table for an hour and just like slowly force feed myself and like just gag. Like, it's just, I'd rather just work out.
Walk me through that. Like, walk me through the eating in a day, what that looks like when they're trying to turn Spencer Brown from 6'8", 220 pounds into Spencer Brown third round draft pick. What's that look like?
The summer of 2017 is when it was its worst. And they gave us nutrition Bibles to all the guys that were there. And they had like mass gainer, if you wanted to cut, or if you wanted whatever. Like, they just had sections of the book for whatever you needed. So obviously I was always in the mass gainer, mass, carbs, protein, mass. So just eating as much as I could, working out as much as I could, and eating as much as I could as possible, just so I could burn and refill. And I can't remember the exact diet. I know that my breakfast was like hash browns, sausage, bacon, and eggs all mixed together like in a Tupperware, and I'd eat like 2 tortillas with some fruit and granola or whatever. That'd be breakfast. Workout, come back, a protein shake that I have to make for like the whole day. So it's like 4 servings. So it's just sitting in a pitcher pretty much in the fridge. Yeah. And I could drink it 4 times a day. So it's like 1,000 calories a piece or whatever. And lunch was the grossest, probably. It'd be like a 6-pack of brats, no buns. So you're just eating 6 brats, a quart of yogurt with granola in it. And then I thought was healthy, I'd throw in a spinach salad. And then another protein shake, whatever, mid-afternoon. And then at night, it'd be rice and salmon or pork tenderloin, and then another salad with it. And then if I was really struggling or like fluctuating bad, I'd get up at like 2 a.m. and eat a protein shake and sandwich. But now, like, I have it down to a T, so it's way easier to fluctuate and know I can get it back and what it takes to get it back. So I fluctuate way more now than I did in college. With the long season, that's what happened. But I've gotten used to it now.
Did eating like that ruin any foods for you?
I
Like
was eating
bratwurst. Like if you're eating bratwurst 6 at a time with no buns, like can you go to a baseball game and eat a bratwurst
I
anymore?
would absolutely hammer 6 cheddar bots right now if they're in front of me. I mean, it was I got like really what do you call it? The texture of foods. I realized like started like throwing me for a loop. So like I can't eat like egg yolks. It just freaks me out. I can't do it, or anything that's just weird. And I mean, my body started resenting stuff. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said keeping weight on now through the season is tough just because it's such a long season.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, usually you lose the majority of your weight in fall camp just because you're practicing more than you're working out and eating right. So like by the end of fall camp, I'd always be down like 7-ish pounds, and then I'll come back. And then throughout the season this year, I pretty much like lost a pound each week. And then I ended the end of the year at like 302. And the beginning of the season, I was 317. So if you just count the regular season, it's just like a pound a week, which is pretty standard. And I mean, I told the strength staff, like, hey, I dropped weight throughout the season. It's not a lot, but it's just like, it'll chip away. There's nothing I can really do about it because I'm not working out, eating as much as I can, just practicing and kind of working out. So I know like where I'll be at throughout the year. Like it's kind of weird to think about, but I've done it enough now that I know exactly how I feel like throughout the year. I know like during the summer, I'll be worked hard. The fall, I'll get through it, and then you turn it back on in the spring for your off-season workouts. So going through it enough times has helped me learn a lot as well.
What's wild is when you see a guy that's your size, you're 6'8", and you think of a 300-pounder, at least, you know, the way it's portrayed on TV a lot of times, or the way we used to think of offensive linemen as like fat guys, right? And you see a guy like you that you're lean, like you're not fat at all. And it's incredible to see the way the NFL guys and football players today, the way they carry the weight. Like these are not fat guys, and they've really perfected, I guess, weight training today way better than they did 30, 40 years ago, because it's amazing what you guys look like, you know, even with your shirts off. You guys aren't fat guys, even though you're carrying a lot of mass.
Yeah, it's I think it's just like an evolution of kind of what's going on. I mean, I agree with you. Like back in the day, it was like a lot of bigger guys, and now there's a dude coming out this year. I mean, Trevor Penning, obviously he's 330, and it doesn't look like he's 330. And freak athlete, 360 dunking at 330. So I mean, everyone's just really getting better, and that's what makes it exciting. And then even Evan Neal from the tackle from Alabama, I think he was like 340 at his pro day, and he was flat stomach, yoked out of his mind. So,
and I think he played at like 360.
Yeah, I could never imagine doing that. Like I haven't told my strength coach here, I'm like, I don't ever play over 320, barely 315. Like I'm like 310, and I tend to fade off. I'm not like a big, heavy guy. I just can't play that way. That's also your play style. Like a lot of guys like to be heavier, and some guys like to be lighter. It just kind of depends on what you can get away with and what helps you play to your best. So with last year, I understood because, I mean, it was like the season was just so long. Like I don't want to say I was getting weak, but like obviously my body was wearing down, and that was by far the weakest I've ever been playing football. And it was also one of the better years I've had with playing against competition, obviously, and how I was performing. So I always thought I had to be a big, strong, just absolute strength out the window. So last fall really proved that wrong. It's actually about that's how you play and how efficient you are.
So when I was working with Cal Twait to get you on the podcast, the first thing Cal says to me, he doesn't give me like locker room stories from you and I. He doesn't give me like weight room stories or anything. He sends me screenshots of your high school baseball stats. And Cal Twait says, you got to talk to Spencer Brown. Spencer went 16-1 with a 2.41 ERA as a sophomore on the bump. And so that's what Cal wanted to talk about. So what happened to your junior and senior year? Did you not play baseball junior and senior?
I mean, baseball is by far my favorite sport. If I had to choose one, like, yeah, I played football, I played basketball, and I traveled a little bit in AAU basketball, but like baseball season was the best. I love baseball. It's summer. Like you aren't doing anything besides working out and like going to BP with your friends and then going to Casey's and getting a 32-ounce Mountain Dew. It's the best time of the year.
That's right.
It's incredible. So, I mean, I love baseball. I love pitching. I played third base too. And my junior year, I had surgery. And then my senior year, I had surgery back to back. The only reason I had surgery my senior year was I was already committed to football. So I was trying to get my knee healthy for that. So I had to sit my junior and senior year. And my sophomore year, we went to sophomore year went to sub-state, and then my junior year, like all of us were coming back, so it's gonna be awesome. And then couldn't play then. Like, okay, my senior year I can come back. I'm throwing the ball better now. I'm more efficient on the mound. And then I couldn't play again. So I'm like, gee. I was still on the team my senior year. I would just like pretty much I was a bat boy, and it was awesome still. So I still got to joke around the dugout and be around the guys and just be around the sport. But it was fun. I mean, even if I wasn't playing, it was fun to be in the dugout with those guys.
Did you drop any bombs?
I mean, I didn't hit any home runs my sophomore year. I think maybe 3, 4 at max. I can't remember, but I mean, I wasn't just absolutely tearing the leather off the baseball by any means.
If you're in a different world, if you don't get hurt, does Spencer Brown sign a college baseball scholarship, and are you in AA for the Rangers right now?
I mean, going into my junior year, I thought I was just going to pitch. Like in my head, like that was the first. Like I said, I wasn't going to play in the NFL. I never said that. But going into my junior year, I was like, I might just pitch. I mean, my cousin was super helpful. Both my cousins, Jake Samo was pitcher of the year in Iowa, so and his brother Wade, they were helping me out a ton. So I love pitching and getting better. And Caleb Lang, the guy that was a year older than me, he was a good pitcher, a lefty. So it was fun because it was like a 1-2 combo with me and him on the mound together. So that was always fun pitching with him. So I really thought I was going to maybe play small college baseball somewhere at some point. So going to my senior year, I didn't throw a ton, but I mean, I could still throw it decently.
When's the last time you played catch with a baseball?
Oh, geez. Probably last time I touched a baseball when I was a freshman in college. I was playing catch with Zach Kibbe in the dorms. That might be the last time I've actually thrown a baseball.
Well, you got to get the leather back out, man.
I throw a football a few times. My shoulder is demolished, so I don't know how well it go.
You know, I bet your shoulders got to go through a lot. I bet linemen's shoulders just get torched.
Everybody has their own little thing, but I mean, this year was by far like the sorest I've ever been. Like just like waking up, legit walking. Like I've been sore after games, but like Monday night after a Sunday game, I'd wake up and legit walk like an old man for a few days. And I'm only 24, so the guys that are like 35, it's pretty impressive. But
what was your introduction to Bill's Mafia like?
That it was pretty insane. I mean, I got drafted, jumped to that table with some liquid courage, obviously. But
that was in Lenox, right?
That was in my mom's front yard. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so did that, and then Bill's Mafia just blew my phone up and showed a lot of love for that because everybody loves jumping on tables here. And then probably my first actual experience because it was COVID, so we didn't really interact with a lot of people when we got here. But the first time was we had an open practice during, I think it might have been OTAs or fall camp. I can't remember, but it was an open practice in the stadium, which I've never practiced in front of people before. Like obviously not high school, college, like maybe 3 people that are warming up their trumpet in the stands before band practice, but like nothing insane. So I didn't know what to expect. And we have there's a tunnel that goes into Bill Stadium. You can't see anything else. So you don't know what it looks like until you're like 10 feet close to the tunnel hole. So I didn't know what to expect. And then the whole lower layer and like halfway up the second layer was just filled with fans. I'm like, this is insane. This is an hour and a half practice on a Friday and people are coming out. It's the middle of the day. People should be in school and there's thousands of kids here. So, I mean, it was just insane to see that lives in the sport, and then everybody's going insane as soon as every single player runs out there. I mean, it's pretty unreal, and I mean, they're with us through everything. So it's a pretty unique experience.
Is it, Buffalo, New York? I know you had the Blue Jays in Buffalo last summer because of COVID stuff, but it seems like it's Bills territory all year round. Like they got to be talking about the Bills right now, especially with the team you guys got coming back.
Yeah, it's like a buzz going through the city of Buffalo right now. I mean, they went through a drought many years ago, and obviously the 4 Super Bowls that no one likes to talk about. I wasn't even alive for them, but we watched a documentary, and I felt terrible. So I kind of feel like I was there for it. But I mean, it's a great place. Like it feels like a Des Moines almost. So I mean, coming from small town, small college, and then now smaller NFL city, it's perfect for me. Not a really big go out city guy anyway. So just the small town feel of Buffalo is exactly what honestly, I can't say I was looking for, but I was what I was hoping for, and that's exactly what I got. And it's awesome.
Who is like the former Bills player that still owns the city?
Jim Kelly. I can't remember.
Is it still Jim Kelly?
Can't believe I even had to pause to say that, but yeah, it's Jim Kelly. He's still around. He still lives here, and he's still around the facility. Comes in all the time. Everybody loves him, and absolute great guy. It's insane to like. I mean, I haven't really seen a lot of Hall of Fame guys in my life, but I know that he's one, and obviously an incredible player. And then just be able to talk to him and be around him it's pretty awesome.
That's cool. Well, Spencer, the way we end our episode of the Moonlight Graham show is with the 5 big questions. All right.
5 big questions.
So first question is, who's your all-time favorite teammate?
Oh God. I'm going to feel bad for, I mean, I obviously have to choose one, but I feel bad for all my other teammates. Oh, I'm thinking about high school to like this season.
You've had a lot of teammates.
Oh, geez, this is actually making my stomach hurt a little bit. I feel like I'm stabbing everybody else in the back. This is going to be my reason. And it's going to be Ike Butker from Cedar Falls, Iowa guy. Has to be him. I'm sorry about everybody else, but like coming into the NFL, I mean, we're always talking about, or we're always told, like, find a veteran guy that will carry you along, show you the way, and take care of you. And I didn't even have to ask Ike to do that. I mean, we just had mutual friends through the Farleys in Cedar Falls, Coach Farley and his son. They're family friends with Ike, so I knew of Ike. And then once I got drafted, I mean, he just immediately took me under his wing and said, this is how you get stuff done. So, I mean, I went from getting drafted to him inviting me to work out with him the whole month of July before training camp, and then teaching me the playbook, teaching me ins and outs of the building. I mean, it still helps me every single day, just on and off the field. I'm always around his family on Monday and Tuesday nights during the season, having dinner at their house. So, I mean, he's just ultimate teammate, the guy, like prototype of who you want in your building at all times and who you want to be in your circle. So Ike Butker, hands down, best team I've ever had.
And he just resigned. So he's going to be continue to be your
back.
teammate.
The boys, he's stayed at my house this week. Actually, he's back in Buffalo and been hanging out every night so far, just broing it out.
Nice. Second question is, what's your favorite sports movie?
Miracle. Didn't even take long.
Really?
1,000%. I'm not even a hockey guy. I can't even skate. Miracle, easily.
Did you ever have a practice like that scene in Miracle where it's just again?
Yeah, that's every single winter conditioning that took place at Northern Iowa.
In the dome?
Yeah, running 180s was the worst. It was, I mean, we do all of our agility drills, get completely gassed, throw up, contemplate quitting, and then they make you run like 15 180s on the stopwatch.
I remember my worst day ever in the dome. We had to do, like, we did a full weight workout we were doing like 150-yard shuttles or something, and we thought we were done. And then we had to run stairs after that. And, the dome stairs, and my legs were so jello from the workout because we thought we were done. And then, we were all walking down the stairs, and it's like the worst thing that you can do, because when you walk down the stairs, you're like doing little squats the whole time.
You gotta flex.
So you always you got to use the momentum to run, but we didn't know this at the time. And I could hardly walk out of the dome, and I still think about it often.
The dome's a dangerous place. 1, if you're on the indoor track, if you fall, that sucks. 2, if you're running stairs, really bad for your shins. If you fall, that sucks. So, I mean, it's just a really lose-lose situation. Unless you're using the only positive is if you're running stairs, you can grab the railings as you're turning to run up the stairs to give yourself like a little boost.
Or when they have like the pole vault mats out, and you can just take a nap on the pole vault mat after a workout.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's hilarious that everybody that worked out there did the exact same thing, though.
Yeah. Did you ever have anybody jump off of the railing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy, that thing.
You know what's funny is, times change, time goes by, but the college guys are still the exact same. Like there'll be guys 40 years from now doing that exact same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Third question here is when you think back on your career thus far, what's one moment, like when you close your eyes at night, what's one moment you think of that kind of reminds you of everything that you love about the game of football?
There's been a few. There's been a handful of moments. Not exactly one specific, but I mean, like going out there and playing is awesome. But like one of my favorite things to do is, I mean, even when we lost, it's one of my favorite things to do. But it's like just I always walk out the field and just kind of take it all in. And if I have like people there, like family, and I know exactly where they're sitting, so I can go, oh, section right there, so it should be right there, and they're just going crazy and yelling and waving. Like happened at Kansas City, we won the first time. They're all the way up there, and I could see they had like emojis of my head, I guess. And I looked up all the way up there in the upper decks of Kansas City, and I could see them there. And then I had like 8 college buddies that I played with came out here for the first time I played New England Sunday night game. They were all here.
Freezing.
It was freezing. They did the whole tailgate experience, all bundled up, freezing snow globe type atmosphere, and then we lost in that freezing game the first time, and I could just look over, all of them were standing there, and I waved again, and it was just like a comforting thing. So it's pretty awesome to be on that big stage that everybody talks about, but then having people that have been there for a long time, and it's kind of like a comforting good moment, I guess, that I'm lucky to experience. That's for sure.
Who was your role model growing up?
It actually took me a few years to figure out who it was. I guess I shouldn't say who. There's a handful of people, but like a lot of people have taught me things along the way. Like my mom always told me I could do anything I wanted to, like the good mom, like telling your kids that, believe in yourself. My dad was good at instilling work ethic into me. My cousins were good at like mentoring me. And then what I've grown to realize, I guess, and actually I haven't even told this, so I guess you might hear it on here, but to my older brother. And I mean, he and I don't want to say we grew up different. We had just like different interests, I guess. I was sports. He wanted to work on the farm, and then he went to the military. I don't know if he even owns a pair of Nikes. I think it's just straight boots, and I just wear sandals and sweatpants every day. He tells me I wear pajamas to work every single day. I mean, I appreciate it. But I mean, the way he carries himself, and I wish I would have recognized it earlier, but the way he carries himself, and he said, I'm going to go to the military. He always said, I'm going to work on a ranch. And then he did these things, right? Like he said he's going to do something. He did it. And then he did it his own way, which I think is, I think it's very unique. And I think he wears his personality on his sleeves and lets it all hang out. And I think that's kind of what we need more of. And I just kind of like want to be more like him, I guess, because sometimes I get worked up or think I need to do things a certain way because that's how they're supposed to be done. And he just does things his own way. And I think we need more of that. And that's kind of why I like to imitate my style off of, where you see me talking trash or just doing dumb stuff. I guess it's just learning from him just to be yourself in any moment, and don't be just like be changing for people. Just be yourself, and whoever sticks around sticks around. So
that's good.
Never told him that, so I guess he can find out this way, but here it is.
Nice. Final question then, Spencer. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh goodness. That you have some good questions here. I think I can't just list off a one-liner. I think my strength coach actually, like 2 days ago, actually summed it up of pretty much what you kind of go through. Like him and I have some good conversation because it's all one-on-one time here right now in Buffalo, working out with him, and he's just very intelligent guy. I like to talk to him about things, and we were just talking about right now, like how everybody's rehabbing or like sore, like knocking off the rust, and started talking about suffering kind of in a way, this isn't supposed to go dark, but he said maybe we're like built to experience pain or let down or sorrow or come up short kind of thing. So then when you get there and you actually experience it, it actually happens, it makes it worth it in a sense. Which kind of looking back at when we were talking about my career or whatever at that point, and then I was just looking back on all my times. So I think about how many times I've been hurt or I've been banged up, and I thought like that was the worst thing possible at that point in time. Like when I blew my knee out, I'm like, I cannot believe this. Like I'm never gonna play football again. And then it all worked out. So I think there's highs and lows to a lot of things, especially in my career. There is every single day and year. So I think being able to ride those flows is a talent, I would say. And I still need to master that because things are still hard. But I think he summed it up pretty good. You kind of have to suffer to enjoy the prize, I guess I should say.
Right. Yeah. Humans aren't meant to be coddled. We're meant to face a little pain, face a little adversity, right? And you got to get through it. The strong survive, baby. Well, Spencer, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it, man. It's good to get acquainted here virtually. And we got to get Ike Butker on the pod now. You know, if he's your all-time favorite teammate, don't tell him you said that. And when I get him on the pod, I'm going to ask him the same question. If he doesn't say you, then I'm going to give him hell.
He probably won't say me. He has had some stallion teammates, but he's actually at my house right now. And I teach him, I'm going to listen to that pod as soon as you're done with it. I'm going to see what it's like. And I'm like, all right, but hopefully he doesn't. And then you can ask him. I'll tell him he's going to have to get on.
So, yeah, I play pickleball with Ike's uncle on a weekly basis. So let him know I'm going to go kick his uncle's butt in pickleball here soon. But tell him what's up, and he's got to come on the pod too.
Absolutely. I'll let him know.
All right, Spencer, good luck this season, man. It's fun cheering you on as a fellow Panther, as a fellow Iowan. And so best of luck in the future, and go Bills.
Yes, sir. Go Bills.
Thank you for listening to today's episode with Spencer Brown. And if you've been keeping score at home, you realize that this is not the first Buffalo Bill we've had on the podcast. We have had Fred Jackson, another great underdog story coming out of indoor football that ended up having a great career in the NFL. Fred was on the podcast, now lives in the great state of Iowa, played Division III football in the state of Iowa. There's also another Iowan on that offensive line. He got mentioned in the interview with Spencer, but that's Ike Butker. Ike Butker grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa, went on to play for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and has been a mainstay on that Buffalo Bills line and has been a good mentor for Spencer Brown as well. So there are Iowa connections all over the Buffalo Bills and all over that current roster and the offensive line. Hopefully we can get Ike coming up here on the podcast as well. Special thank you to the Moonlight Graham Show team, my brothers Andy and Neil. Congratulations to Neil and his wife Brooke for little Louie Flattery, who was just born at the end of last week. Of course, Tommy Griffin. We got to get Tommy back on the podcast as the best co-host in the business, but Tom also does all of our write-ups for every episode as well. Brendan Gargano, who does all of our artwork, and then the behind-the-scenes guy. He's the best in the business. Nobody does it better than Brian Samvig. Have a great week, Moonlighters.
It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. It's a pretty good program, broadcasting to the heartland. Sports stories for the everyman. It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. Please follow us on Instagram. You're loving us on Twitter too. You download every pod we do. It's Moonlight Graham.